Edward Justice and his partner were about to end their night shift when the city was shrouded in darkness. The streets were silent, with only the occasional flicker of street lights. They were ready to head home when a strange call interrupted the quiet. A man reported hearing eerie noises from his attic. The man had schizophrenia, which made the officers question the reality of the noises. But they had to check it out, so they drove to his house. When they arrived, they found the man outside, his eyes wide with fear. He led them into his house, where he told them about the strange things happening at night. Voices, footsteps, and objects moving on their own. He thought it was all in his head, but Edward and his partner had to see for themselves. They climbed the stairs to the attic, their flashlights piercing the darkness. The attic door creaked open, revealing a chilling scene. A man with a wild, hunted eyes was hunched in the corner, eating something hastily. Around him was a bizarre setup with bloodstains, dead birds, and rats. He was whispering to himself, lost in his own world. The air felt thick with an unsettling energy, as if something unnatural was happening. Edward told the man to stop, and surprisingly, he did. They took him into custody, but the mystery of his actions lingered. Later, they learned that the man was homeless and had found his way into the attic through a broken window. He wouldn't explain his strange behavior or the eerie altar. The night left a deep mark on Edward and his partner. It was a reminder of the dark mysteries of the human mind and the thin line between reality and madness. As days passed, Edward couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. The image of the man and the altar haunted his dreams. He started noticing odd occurrences around his own home, things misplaced, faint whispers in the dead of night, and a constant feeling of being watched. It was as if the attic incident had followed him home, seeping into his life. One evening, while alone, Edward heard a noise from his attic. His heart raced as he remembered the previous case. With a deep breath, he decided to investigate. As he climbed the stairs, each step creaked under his weight, echoing through the silent house. He reached the attic door, his hand trembling as he grasped the doorknob. The door swung open with a groan, and Edward braced himself for what he might find. The attic was dark, save for a silver of moonlight streaming through a small window. As his eyes adjusted, he saw something move in the shadows. A figure, shrouded in darkness, stood still, watching him. Edward's blood ran cold as he realized he wasn't alone. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a face Edward knew all too well. The face of the man from the other attic. But that was impossible. The man was in custody. Edward's mind raced with fear and confusion. Was this a ghost, a hallucination, or had the man somehow escaped and found him? The figure spoke in low, haunting voice. "You can't escape us, Edward. We're everywhere." Then it vanished into the shadows, leaving Edward alone with his fear and the chilling realization that some horrors are too real to be dismissed as mere delusions. On a night cloaked in darkness, Officer Michael Constantine's routine patrol took an unexpected turn. The streets were quiet, too quiet, and the dim glow of the street lights did little to ease the tension that hung in the air. Michael and his partner, Officer Dean, tried to keep the mood light with small talk, but their jokes fell flat against the backdrop of their solemn duty. As the clock struck midnight, they stopped at a desolate gas station. What was meant to be a brief pause for snacks and fuel became the beginning of a chilling ordeal. A frantic call came through. A scream had pierced the silence of a suburban neighborhood, and two shadowy figures were seen entering a home. With no time to waste, Michael and Dean sped towards the address. The scene that greeted them was straight out of a horror movie. A house bathed in the red and blue lights of police cars, its windows shattered, a silent invitation to the unknown. They entered the house, the beam of their flashlights slicing through the darkness. The scream had ceased, replaced by a heavy, oppressive silence that seemed to press down on them. They moved upstairs, guided by a sense of dread rather than sound. The source of the terror was in the attic, a room that time had forgotten, filled with cobwebs and whispers of the past. There, they found not just 2, but 3 figures. One was the victim, tied to a chair, his face swollen and bloody. The other 2 were not just assailants, but apparitions. Their forms flickering like a bad television signal, their eyes hollow pits of despair. Michael's voice trembled as he ordered them to step back. The figures turned to him, their mouths gaping in silent screams, and then vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the real, tangible victim. The man's story was one of betrayal and revenge. He had been lured to the house by former colleagues, promising reconciliation, only to be met with a stage haunting and a brutal beating. It was a twisted game, a psychological torment that had gone too far. As dawn broke, Michael and Dean escorted the man to safety, his wounds a testament to the cruelty he had endured. The house, now silent, held secrets that would never be fully understood. As they left, Michael couldn't shake the feeling that the eyes of the house watched them go, its whispers carried by a wind, a reminder of the horrors that lurk in the shadows. The police department was a hive of activity, but in the break room, the world seemed to slow down. Officer Sean Stark and his partner, Officer Jenna Walsh, were halfway through their night shift, the calm before the storm. They watched the flickering images of the late-night news, the room filled with the aroma of stale coffee. Suddenly, the phone's shrill ring cut through the silence. The dispatcher's voice was laced with urgency, reporting a break-in at a house left empty by vacationing owners. 3 figures had been spotted slipping inside. Sean and Jenna exchanged a knowing look, grabbed their gear, and dashed to their patrol car. The drive was shrouded in tension, the city's lights a distant memory against the enveloping darkness. Arriving at the scene, they were met with an eerie quiet. The only sign of disturbance was a shattered window at the back of the house, a silent testament to the intrusion. With cautious steps and flashlights leading the way, Sean and Jenna approached the breach. The darkness seemed alive, pressing in on them as they entered the house through the broken window. The interior was a void of shadows, the silence so profound it was almost a presence in itself. They moved through the rooms, each creak of the floorboards a thunderous sound in the stillness. As they ascended the stairs, a sense of dread settled over Sean. The hallway was a gauntlet of closed doors, each one a barrier to the unknown. They checked each room methodically, the tension mounting with every heartbeat. In the second room, they found them, 3 figures, frozen like deer in headlights. But something was off. The men's eyes were hollow, their skin pale and translucent. One raised a ghostly pistol, and Sean's instincts took over. He fired, but the bullet passed through, hitting the wall behind. Chaos erupted. The figures wailed, not in pain, but in chorus of haunting lament. Jenna called for backup, her voice steady despite the surreal scene unfolding before them. Time stretched on, each second in eternity as they held the spectral figures at bay. The line between reality and nightmare blurred, the danger palpable and yet intangible. Backup arrived, flooding the house with light and sound, but the figures had vanished, leaving no trace but the chill in the air and the echo of their cries. As the night returned to its quiet state, Sean was left to ponder the encounter. It was a brush with the supernatural, a reminder that not all threats wore a human face. The broken window stood as a gateway to the unknown, and Sean knew that some nights the darkness held more than just shadows. Which story gave you the biggest chills? Let us know in the comments below. And if you have any scary encounters of your own, share your experiences with us. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Fear Flicks for more videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you at the next one.
disarmed and subdued, were handcuffed and led away by the arriving backup officers. As the chaos settled, the gravity of the victims' injuries became apparent: multiple stab wounds, a broken nose, and the unsettling sight of teeth scattered on the floor. The brutality inflicted upon him painted a chilling picture of the assailant's vendetta. The subsequent investigation unraveled the motive behind the attack, a termination from employment that had escalated into a vengeful quest for retribution. The assailants, driven by anger and desperation, had chosen a path of violence to settle the score with their former employer. The injured man was carefully attended to by paramedics and swiftly transported to the hospital, leaving behind a crime scene that spoke volumes about the fragility of human relationships and the potential for violence that lurks beneath the surface of seemingly mundane interactions. In the aftermath, as the night waned, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. The incident served as a stark reminder of the thin line that separates order from chaos, even in the quietest corners of town. Grateful that the night hadn't claimed my own well-being, I found myself haunted by the chilling reality that such horrors could unfold at any moment in the life of a police officer. The police department buzzed with the low hum of activity as the night unfolded. My partner and I had just settled into the break room, catching glimpses of the late-night news on a small television. The atmosphere was calm, the usual routine of the night shift offering a brief respite from the chaos that often defined our line of work. The peace was shattered by the piercing ring of the phone, echoing through the otherwise quiet station. The dispatcher's voice, urgent and tinged with concern, relayed a report from a vigilant neighbor. 3 individuals had been seen entering a house whose owners had been away on vacation for the past 3 days. Without hesitation, my partner and I grabbed our gear, shared a quick nod, and rushed towards the patrol car waiting outside. The drive to the reported location was tense, the anticipation of the unknown palpable. The night air was chilly, and the glow of city lights barely penetrated the darkness. As we pulled up to the address, an unsettling silence hung in the air. No cars, no signs of life. Only a shattered window at the back of the house hinted at the intrusion we were about to confront. Approaching cautiously, flashlights illuminating the path, we surveyed the surroundings for any movement. The darkness seemed to close in around us as we approached the broken window. With a glance, we communicated our readiness and crawled through, making sure not to disturb the stillness of the night. Inside, the house loomed ominously empty, a stark contrast to the shattered window that betrayed an unwelcome visitor. We moved silently through the rooms, tension mounting with each step. The chill in the air carried whispers of unseen dangers, and the creaking of the floorboards beneath our boots echoed through the empty space. Ascending the stairs, the anticipation reached its zenith. The second-floor hallway stretched before us, doors lining each side like sentinels guarding secrets. Methodically, we checked each room, the suspense growing with every turn of the doorknob. When we pushed open the door to the second room, a chilling scene unfolded. 3 men, caught mid-attempt to hide, froze as our flashlights exposed them. Panic flickered in their eyes as we trained our weapons on them. One of them, armed with a pistol, attempted to retaliate in desperation. Instinct kicked in, and I reacted swiftly, firing a shot that struck his arm. The room erupted into chaos as his screams reverberated, the pain etched across his face. My partner, maintaining composure, called for backup. The wounded man writhed on the floor, his firearm clattering out of reach. The seconds dragged on, each moment feeling like an eternity as we kept the suspects at gunpoint, adrenaline coursing through our veins. It was a perilous dance on the precipice of danger, and the thin line separating order from chaos hung in the air. The distant wail of sirens grew louder, signaling the imminent arrival of our fellow officers. As backup flooded into the scene, the suspects were apprehended, their futile attempts to escape thwarted. The once silent house now echoed with the sounds of law enforcement at work, bringing order to the chaos that had briefly taken hold. In the aftermath, I couldn't shake the realization that our encounter had been a mere heartbeat away from tragedy. A bullet had narrowly missed its mark, a life hanging in the balance. The suspects, now in handcuffs, were led away as the night returned to its calm facade. The broken window stood as a poignant reminder of the fragile balance we maintained, and I found myself reflecting on the events of that night with a renewed appreciation for the unpredictable nature of our profession. Every call, every encounter, was a stark reminder that life could change in an instant, prompting me to value each moment with newfound significance.